When I first started playing these games, I really didn't expect to find a series that would be so engrossing. You see, though I'm a huge fan of Japanese-style turn-based RPGs, I've never played a Dragon Quest game. My first foray into the genre of RPGs was technically Chrono Trigger, but I was young and I didn't appreciate it at the time. What really got me into RPGs was Final Fantasy VII, as cliched as that is. Um, I had considered playing a Dragon Quest game back in the PlayStation 1 days, and even bought Dragon Quest VII, but chose not to because after playing 10 minutes of it, the graphics and combat system was so far behind RPGs at the time, it just didn't appeal to me, which is a shame because if I had given it a chance, I probably would have loved it. Jump ahead to now, the way old school RPGs are rapidly disappearing, the only safe haven for them to flourish seems to be the Nintendo DS. So I saw that they had remastered 3 of the old Dragon Quest games for the system, ones that are considered by fans to be a trilogy of sorts, since they share similar locations, themes, and even villains. So I thought, what the hell, let's see what they have to offer, and I purchased a copy of Dragon Quest IV, and I fucking loved it. So here are my reviews on a game-by-game basis of the Zenithian Trilogy. Dragon Quest IV, Chapters of the Chosen. This game was originally made for the NES back in 1992. It was remade for the PlayStation 2, however that was never released outside of Japan. What made this game so unique when it came out was the way that it was told. The game is broken into 5 chapters. The first 4 you play the backstory to all the main characters, and in the 5th, they all unite around the hero to defeat the evil attacking the world. This sort of storytelling had never been done before, and was a huge success in the RPG world, inspiring such games as Final Fantasy VI and many others. I found the graphics, characters, pacing, just about everything in this game to be charming and fun. My favorite chapter was the one where you play as an aspiring merchant named Tornico, setting out to build for himself a weapons-dealing empire. His entire chapter has a different feel to it altogether that really helps break up the monotony in the game for a while. The game isn't perfect though. Some may consider it to be difficult. I lent the game to a coworker after I finished it, and I had to constantly help her figure out what to do next. To be fair, sometimes the game is vague on what your goal is, but at the same time, if you talk to every NPC, you should be able to deduce what needs to be done. The game also suffers from some technical issues caused by its engine. There are a lot of times when your frame rate will cut in half while in a busy town, or sometimes for seemingly no reason at all. Another odd thing is that there are only a handful of NPC sprites that are reused in every town and castle. You'll see the same old man, child, shopkeeper, and weirdo with no shirt and a horned helmet everywhere. This, I later came to discover, is the same in every Dragon Quest game, not just the DS remakes, and it actually kind of grows on me. Honestly, this is not a game you play for story. It's pretty simple, really. Evil guy wants to kill all humans and start a world in his own image. You gotta stop him. Getting to that final battle, however, is a lot of fun, and the final battle itself is epic. All the enemies in the game have basic animations, but the final boss has awesome transformation sequences that combine 2D and 3D animation that really sets it apart. I had about 30 hours on my game, and it was around level 38 when I beat the game, and was surprised to find that you could continue to play after the credits roll. This is apparently a feature that exists in all the Dragon Quest games. There's even a bonus dungeon and boss fight, which is pretty cool. All in all, the game was a blast and has convinced me to set out on my own Dragon Quest to complete all the main titles of the series. Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride. Basically, the devs used the same engine and assets to speed up production of the game. In other words, the menu system, graphics, NPCs, and even some of the monsters are identical. They did, however, boost the power of the engine, as I didn't notice any frame rate issues whatsoever. It ran extremely smooth. This game also came out in 1992, but it was on the Super NES, and it never released outside of Japan, period, until now. Which is a real shame, because this game was a huge leap in the story department over Dragon Quest IV. Sure, the premise is about an evil demon trying to take over the world, but the real story is all about your family. You see, what makes this game unique is that you basically play the entire life of the hero. You start out at age 10, traveling the world with your father, and eventually the game skips 10 years into the future and you play as an adult. You even get married and have children. Then it skips ahead another 10 years, and your children are older and can even adventure with you like you did with your father, if you want to take them along. They did a really great job of making you care for your family members, and many times you'll find the game tugging at your heartstrings like it was a little wooden pre-life Pinocchio. The other big feature of this game is that you can recruit monsters and have them as party members. In fact, for the majority of the game, you'll play as your hero and his team of monsters. It sounds a bit strange since monsters have no story, but it works out great. My recommendation, get 2 Slime Knights. I named mine Gawain and Sir Slime. The only disappointing factor for me in this game was that the final boss fight was not nearly as epic as the previous games. It didn't have any unique 3D hybrid animations at all, but it was a good challenge nonetheless, and the art design of the monster was a bit cooler. Overall, it was a much better game, and easily a favorite RPG of mine now. Like its predecessor, I had about 30 hours of game time, and was roughly level 38 when I beat it. Okay, up until now, the Dragon Quest games have been pretty standard. This is the first one that kind of breaks the mold. It's kind of a weird entry in the 3. The story is difficult to follow in the beginning because you really have no idea what's going on, and it doesn't do a very good job of explaining it to you. Beyond that, there are some gameplay elements that are really cool in this one. They add a job system, which I believe the first Dragon Quest to do it was 3, but I haven't played 3, so I'm not too sure. But in this one, you can actually switch your vocations around, and when you learn the skills from a particular job, they carry over with you. So you can essentially get every skill in the game for all your characters. And the characters are actually cool too. The main character looks really cool. He kind of reminds me of like a Goku with blue hair, almost. Which is not surprising because it's Akira Toriyama. Anyways, the vocation, the only problem I have with the vocation system is that the way you level up your vocations is by completing battles, not by experience points, which is a little strange. And also, the game has like an invisible system where you can out-level an area and battles will no longer count towards your vocation XP meter or whatever, if you get what I'm saying. So basically you can out-level an area, but you'll never know it because it doesn't actually tell you. And battles will no longer count towards progressing your vocation. And that's kind of annoying. But it's still a very, very fun game. And I recommend you check it out, because it's definitely worth a playthrough. So there you have it. That's the Zenithian Trilogy. You'll notice that all 3 games, they use the same engine, so they have the same faults for the most part. I mean, well, not faults, but they basically, graphically, they all look identical pretty much. I mean, just with the difference of, different sprites for your main characters. You'll see the same sprites for town NPCs and whatnot, which is fine. And also, they were smart enough to actually make different enemies for each game. You'll see similar ones, of course, like slimes and whatnot. Those are staples of the series. But they actually do have different enemies in different areas of their games. So that's a plus. They weren't silly in that they reused all the same enemies. That would just suck. I definitely suggest trying the series out, getting it. The only negative is that number 5 is kind of hard to come by. they stopped releasing them for some reason. I don't know why they stopped producing them, but which is actually kind of sucky because in my opinion the fifth one is the best. Yeah, so I'm gonna be putting up reviews of all of the Dragon Quest games that are in the main series. I've already played 8 and 9, and we'll be trying to get reviews up for those soon. I haven't played 7 yet, but I do own it, so I plan on doing it eventually. So don't get your panties in a bunch.